So, Candelabra of Tawnos has been banned in Legacy. What is this post-ban metagame going to look like? Well, let's get into some leagues and find out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today, Ice Phoenix has asked me to brew around one of their favorite cards, Anikthea, Hand of Erebos. So, there's a lot of words here. It's a 4/4 with Menace that gives other enchantment creatures you control Menace, but the important part is the final ability. So, whenever Anikthea enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to one target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except as a 3/3 zombie. So, first of all, let's make sure we understand. You don't play with 5 mana cards in Legacy unless you have a really good reason to do so. Alright, we all understand that? Okay, good. Moving on, how do we make the best Anikthea deck that we can? And honestly, I got stumped on this one. This was one of the harder things that I've been asked to brew around in a long time. And I thought it might be useful to kind of show off some of my process here. So, when I first looked at this card, my mind went to, if we're going to do this, we need to do something that is kind of insane in order to make that worth it. So I started looking at very, very expensive enchantments as my avenue to take this deck. And kind of one of the issues here was that a lot of the best big dumb enchantments are actually auras or are creatures. The auras straight up don't work. And if you do something like Bahamut, which is one of the cards my mind immediately went towards, you have a 3/3 flyer instead of a 9/9 flyer. And this is actually a pretty huge downside. So after realizing that, I started trying to look at all of the various sagas and try to find ones that might be like powerful enough or synergistic enough to warrant putting into this deck. And I started sketching up things that would do self-mill with like Overlord of the Balemurk and Malevolent Rumble. And the decks weren't good. It was taking so many slots to try to do Anikthea and fit in the big enchantments and fit in the things that would be self-mill that I was incredibly light on interaction. And in the current Legacy metagame that's very combo heavy, I think you probably need like 8 pieces of interaction game 1 versus combo if you're playing a non-blue deck. Like you probably need Thoughtseizes and Inquisitions or Thoughtseizes and Cabal Therapies, something like that. So I very, very quickly abandoned this avenue of deck building. And at this point, I went back to the donor and I'm like, all right, what do you suggest next? And they suggested trying stacks. So I started messing around with an Enchantress shell, thinking that I would use cards like Ghostly Prison or perhaps Sphere of Safety to turtle up and make it to Anikthea. And doing this meant that I didn't really need to build around anything in particular coming back, as just getting back any old regular enchantment that is a part of this shell would have been cool, and being able to do something like sacrifice a Sterling Grove, tutor for a key enchantment, and then bring it back with Anikthea was, in theory, pretty cool. But then I, in no capacity, could come up with any way that I could beat a combo deck ever. Like, Ghostly Prison could maybe do something versus Fantasticar, but if someone is doing any sort of, like, show and tell or storm nonsense, I was just completely soft to it, and I was really unhappy with the direction that this was going, and I abandoned this one as well. So then, in my madness, I was like, okay, what is a stupid enchantment I could play that beats the Fantasticar that I can consistently bring back? And my mind went to Pernicious Deed. And Anikthea cycling and recycling Pernicious Deed repeatedly to board wipe every single turn as you get it on enters and attacks with Anikthea was actually kind of cool. And that ultimately brought me to this deck list. which is somewhere in the ballpark of Nic Fit, but we have strayed far from the Light of Keranos building this deck, to say the least. So our goal is to be a Pernicious Deed deck. And we're going to do something like play a deed, wipe the board with it, play Anikthea, get a token copy of Pernicious Deed, wipe the board again, keep Anikthea, and hopefully keep it bringing back enchantments as well. I stayed with one of my original plans of trying to do Malevolent Rumble and Overlord of the Balemurk for the self-mill, which has a very, very small amount of synergy with the Cabal Therapy here. The Cabal Therapies in this deck are not fantastic, but they're going to sacrifice our Veteran Explorers that are hopefully going to help us cast Anikthea in the first place. I'm trying to play just as solid of a shell as I can here while supporting Anikthea and giving it a real amount of support in the form of looping Pernicious Deeds. Now, as far as the sideboard goes, we are very specifically playing Force of Vigor to help out with Fantasticar lines that go under Pernicious Deed, and hopefully Force of Vigor, 8 discard spells, and 4 Pernicious Deeds is enough to take down that deck, and we'll do Deafening Silences in those matchups as well. We're going to have Endurance to board in versus fair decks, where some of our tools like Cabal Therapy might not be optimal, and we're going to straight up play a playset of Erode for decks that have larger creatures like Murktide Regent that maybe can kill us quickly. So this is a deck that was hard to build. I hope that I have put together something reasonable here. And we're in a new Legacy metagame now, so if you need any cards to update your deck, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. I've got a handful of Marvel cards, not many, but a handful that I need to order for my own personal collection. I'll be getting them here. So with that being said, let's battle. Hello, Phil from the future here. This deck works surprisingly well, so if you're looking at this and you're like, oh, Phil, I don't know, it actually works pretty well. But if you're here to watch Anikthea do the most disgusting things possible, I recommend round 4 versus Miracles. It is a very, very long and drawn-out match, and it's pretty great magic. All right, enjoy the show. The discard is going to continue until morale improves. My opponent has already mulliganed to 5 here, and I have 3 discard spells in my hand. I am hoping that I get to use most of them. Like, there are timelines where I take something with Thoughtseize and my opponent dumps the majority of the rest of their hand into play before I get to use the therapies. But I'm hoping I Thoughtseize, take something, double Cabal Therapy on turn 2, take 2 more things, and the game is just fully over at that point. Oh yeah. I guess I have to take Beseech so that my opponent can't hit exactly Dark Ritual and Beseech. Born Upon... Oh, Let me get rid of desktop audio there. I was streaming Celeste the other day. Nice. Cabal Therapy. Target you. Yeah. I mean, this is the dream, right? So my opponent showing me Born Upon a Wind here is probably doing Necro Dominance combo specifically. So Force of Vigor, for example, is going to be very, very good here, as is Deafening Silence. This is unfortunately not a Pernicious Deed matchup, but this is a matchup where, like, bringing back a Deafening Silence from the graveyard could be very good. Deed is just slow in comparison to, like, Assassin's Trophy, or especially compared to Force of Vigor. Probably don't need Alpha Deathclaw here. It is probably correct to just lower my curve by removing Anikthea. 5 is so much to ask for here in a matchup where my opponent is just trying to turn 1 us. I could board in more Endurances as well over something like Barrowgoyfs. Yeah, this is fine. This has Force of Vigor for turn 1 Necro Dominance. I would probably pitch Assassin's Trophy to it. Dark Ritual. Necro Dominance. No. I'll get rid of Assassins. No, I'll get rid of Veteran Explorer. The Veteran Explorer doesn't matter here. All right, very nice. Oh, Veteran Explorer came back. I'm not casting it anyway. I'm gonna do white-black here. Off a Scrubland. Thought. Where Donde está Cabal Therapy? I'm at 18. Another Gemstone Mine comes down. With a second Assassin's Trophy here, I think I just straight up Assassin's Trophy a Gemstone Mine. Like, I know most of my opponent's hand, and this is black, black, black specifically. Yeah, I fully was not expecting a basic land here. That's not what my opponent's life is about. Sure. I need to confirm, do I have a Surveil land in here? I do have an Underground Mortuary in here. I think I'm fine doing that tapped and surveilling. That's that's certainly cute. I think I'll say no to that. And Assassin's Trophy this land as well. Get him. It's like still absolutely a little bit scary, by the way. I want to now follow this up with Deafening Silence or a Reasonable Threat or something. Hitting a Cabal Therapy here would be sick. None of those cards are Cabal Therapy, unfortunately. And we also missed a creature. So that's not where I want to be. Like one Cabal Therapy that lets me take 2 of these and then a follow-up card that is stuck in my opponent's hand would be really cool. Force of Vigor is not terrible. That is hard castable at this point. Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. Necro Dominance. No. And I will not target my own Overlord. Thank you. Get out of there. Windswept Heath, not what I'm looking for. Again, I do need to close this game. My Overlord is 2 turns away from chonkin for 5. And I will absolutely do the marginal deck thinning here. Pull a Savannah out of the deck. Another Veteran Explorer. Alright. Overlord down to 1 counter. But opponent just passes the turn back. Witherbloom Charm is very good. Like, exceptionally good. In we go for 2. And now I can sacrifice a Veteran Explorer to draw 2 cards. And I'm going to be just looking for any piece of interaction here, which I did find. 1, 2. Ball Therapy. This is going to be gross. Target you. Take Elvish Spirit Guide times 2 that I know about. And then I can Malevolent Rumble looking for Deafening Silence. Okay. Impressive first round for the deck, but Anikthea was completely irrelevant as these games were largely decided in the first 2 turn cycles. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I love them. I have over 1,000 deck lists here. And I think the thing that I like the most about them is they're more than just a basic deck builder. If you need information about your next pre-release or where you can get cards, they have that sort of stuff here too. Whether you need to manage your collection or just a couple of decks, Moxfield does it all. So go check them out. All right, my opening hand is fine here. The last thing my opponent played, as far as I know, was Reanimator. I might just go after Reanimate on turn 1. Off a Bayou, probably. There's a good chance that I miss with this first Cabal Therapy and hit with the second one. If I want to wait, I can just play Veteran Explorer, but if my opponent is still playing Reanimator and I don't name something here, I might legitimately just not have a chance to do so. So I think I'm just going to Called Shot, go for Reanimate. Nope. But I know there's 2 Dazes I can hit. I did not get Wastelanded, so yeah. I'm just going to grab another Bayou immediately, as one of them will get Wastelanded in a second. And this Veteran Explorer is going to resolve. I guess my opponent can Brainstorm here, and they will. So then I have to play the Cabal Therapy guessing game. I'm still just going to name Days, because if I name Days, I get to resolve a Barrowgoyf. Alright. Target you. Yes. I'll get permanent access to white. And then the other color doesn't super matter. I think I'll go a Swamp. I could name the Unholy Heat here. It's just a little annoying if my opponent kept a Daze that I can't just resolve this. But Unholy Heat long term can answer. I think I am going to name the Unholy Heat. If my opponent has Daze, I can just Malevolent Rumble instead with my turn. And that's not, like, terrible. Ooh, I miss on naming Unholy Heat. So I will then Rumble this turn around a Daze. Deed is fine with Delver there. I think the second Barrowgoyf is just too good not to take, though. Prismari Charm is this, by the way, in case that's one you're not super familiar with as it is newer. There's the Wasteland coming down. That's fine and expected. I will throw down this to be a surveil land, and I get to just play a 5/6 Goyf here. There's only one unknown card in my opponent's hand. This game's probably over. Land drop comes down, Delver does not flip, and this was a game that was basically decided on turn 2, and this is part of the problem of trying to play a 5-drop that doesn't just immediately win the game. DRC is fine. Drawing a Pernicious Deed would be kind of cool, though. I will say that much. And if I do hit Anikthea, it is a Pernicious Deed. So, like, you know, there's that. What mode? All right, you're just going to bounce my Barrowgoyf. That's fine. Like, I know 2 of the cards in my... Or no, there's still a Daze there, right? Do I know them all? Anyway, I'm taking 1. That's fine. Down to 17. I'll go ahead and... I think Surveil over get the next basic. I don't need that land. Witherboom Charm's kind of interesting. So yeah, let's take out you, and then drop the Barrowgoyf back down. Very nice. 5/6 Barrowgoyf. No attack with the Eldrazi spawn. Delver. Delver does not flip. Low state, sure. Polluted Delta comes down. Like it's going to be a Murktide Regent. I don't think I care. My opponent's got 2 cards, one of which is Lightning Bolt. Anikthea will be a deed. That's just not the best thing for me to do here. I just need to clear the way first. So 1 and 2. Yup. GG. Barrowgoyf connecting is probably the game over point. Like, once I connect with one of those and have another one coming, like, what is my opponent expected to do to win? So I'm going to be looking at boarding in some number of endurances and erodes here. I'm probably going to board out some amount of discard. I don't know if I'm going to do all of it, but I certainly could. So this would give me... Do I have Phyrexian Tower? I don't have Phyrexian Tower. This would give me deeding away my Veteran Explorers as being the primary way that I get rid of them. Although I guess I can just erode them as well. Yeah, I think I board like this and just keep a reasonable number of lands. Ori Steelcutter doesn't solo me if I'm on a pile of Pernicious Deeds. It's just a very good card. I would prefer something more land heavy than this, but here we are. Flooded Strand comes down, and a Delver comes down. I will start the game on basics. I would really like to play basic if possible. It may just be that next turn needs to be double Veteran Explorer. Delver does flip. Land drop comes down. I'm going to eat 3. Go to 17. There's a DRC and a Ponder. I am probably going to not attack with Veteran Explorer here. I think I want to hold that back in case this doesn't work. I can fetch a non-basic black source and do Overlord. I would rather play Barrowgoyf next turn off my black source if I only get to use it once. Yeah, and yeah. Now that I've got 3 of these, I can attack with one of them. That's fine. Alright, that's why I didn't play out my black source. Opponent brainstorms. They're hoping for another card type for DRC here. They have surveilled an island instead. I get one more shot with Ponder. They've said no to Lightning Bolt. Bolt's a pretty good card. Just going at face and not giving me time to get to Barrowgoyf seems really good. Oh, yep. I mean, yep. I'll block with both if you got Trixies. I'll let you take both. Alright, cool. This can be basic plains, so I think I'm going to go Forest Swamp here. What? No basic land? Wild. Yeah, they surveilled the island earlier. Okay. So what's the game plan? Get an Overlord forced? Or play Barrowgoyf if that doesn't resolve Overlord next turn? If I draw a land? I think I'm just going to shove Barrowgoyf. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. That's fine. I will attack with one of these and leave one back for Ori Steelcutter haste purposes. Low state is good. I don't think I am going to surveil here. I think I am just going to take a natural draw. Go to 11. Anikthea is not great here. I think I fetch basic planes now before I do this, so that I don't mill over it. That would be awkward. So I will impending this. It resolves. Ooh, endurance is cool. I will take an endurance happily. I think that's better than Barrowgoyf, but it's pretty close. And then same logic as before, I'll attack with one of these. 14. I'm going to take 3 more in combat. Going to 7. Bobbles are fine. Sure. My opponent hits a Murktide. That kind of just kills me. And if they're casting that, it means that my top card is probably not a removal spell. So redraw. Well, I'm always doing that. The land I will say no to. I have to block this. So this is full on, does this card resolve? If no, I lose the game. I will clear the graveyard. That gets to get bigger. At this point, I'm sending these in. If opponent wants to block and give me more mana, they can. Like, my game plan is block with Endurance, and then maybe bring it back with Overlord and do it again. A Brazen Borrower style card that can bounce Endurance out of play gets me here. Otherwise, my opponent hits me for 3 and continues to leave me in a bad spot. I am at 4. The road is good. That's a start. That's a Force of Will. I think I am not on outs anymore, because I can return Endurance but not cast it. Yeah. All right. We fall short there. GG. Not drawing a way to sacrifice the Veteran Explorer there was a little awkward. I had boarded out therapies, but like the game is very much not about these. It's about having enough removal to not die to my opponent's stuff. I mean, it's certainly correct to just board out the worst card in my deck, but I'm going to run back this plan. I want to try to live the Pernicious Deed dream. Oh, that's weird. Sure. I get to look for a land with this and hopefully look for a land with this as well. Absolutely anything that isn't a land goes to the bin. Never was worried, not for one moment. Volcanic Island into DRC and immediate bobble. That's all fine. An opponent can look at the land that I'm going to have, which I will not be playing this turn. I will be playing the basic and eroding this. I think I'm going to opt to erode it with this timing, so that my opponent can't, like, cast a Brainstorm and get extra surveil value in upkeep. This does give them the land immediately, which is the reason not to do it then. Like, I can do it on their turn and make that tapped. I think the surveil value is scarier, but it's pretty close. Oh, look at that. A true name nemesis. Using Daybreak_ThrabenU. Good choice. I think that's what I would have chosen too. I think I want to give my opponent some counterspell targets before I play this deed. Like, if I could play this deed on 6 mana, that would probably be about ideal. Good stuff. I could have left the white open here to hold up open erode. I was thinking that I would not be casting that card on my opponent's turn, because I'd want to untap to have more mana available. But I could have left myself the option. I guess there's, like, hitting Veteran Explorer off of Malevolent Rumble, though. And Scalding Tarn comes down. I will get domed for 3 by True Name. 16. Witherbloom Charm's not currently insane. I would like something that baits out Force of Will. And I don't know that this impending does this, and if I hard cast this, it just gets eaten by days. I do want to do something before I throw Deed out there, though. Barrowgoyf. Barrowgoyf is a good pickup. I'm going to drop a land, and I think just pass the turn. I might Witherbloom Charm, sacrificing Overlord to draw some cards, or straight up Witherbloom Charm, gain 5 life. Yeah, this is fine. Opponent fetches again, and surveils, keeping the card on top. I am down to 10. There is a flow state. I think I want to prolong this game. I'm gonna go for 5 life here. That's probably not good enough to get a counterspell, but with Erode for like the follow-up non-true name threats that my opponent could play. I think this is okay. Assassin's Trophy is Stone Rain. I don't think that's what the game is currently about. 1, 2, leave open the basic. Barrowgoyf resolved. You just have Unholy Heat? You do just have Unholy Heat. How do I feel about eroding my own creature? I don't hate it. I have 3 other removal spells in hand here. I have 2 black sources. I don't get wastelanded off of that. I usually don't need black. I think I'm going to take another green, so that I have non-wastelandable green for the 4 copies of Endurance. I think that's my plan. I'm just utterly failing at doing anything that gets Force of Will out of my opponent's hand. I may just need to play out Deed and maybe like Anikthea it back, which is not where I want to be, but it might be where I am ending up. Like I want them to play another threat and fight over that threat. I need to beat this true name. And I don't have a lot of time, even with the 5 life I gained from Witherbloom Charm. I'm still on a 4-turn clock from true name. Okay, Delver's fine. Erode you 3-mana Deed? Assassin's Trophy you 3-mana Deed, maybe? I might need to play around multiple dazes. I think I'm going to just do this. Alright, it resolves. And I think at this point I am shoving the Deed and hoping it works. And if it doesn't, I have Anikthea as a top deck that gets it back. Just resolved. Insane. Alright, in we go. I could have just shoved Pernicious Deed all game. Upsetting. Down to 9. Brainstorm. Yeah, I am untapping with Pernicious Deed. And then I can play Overlord. Seems good. In with Veteran Explorer. We're going to Deed for 3. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that just works. 2 swamps. Swamp. If not Force of Will, certainly Daze. I could do this for 2 mana. I'd rather just do it for 5 mana next turn around Daze. I think I'm going to chill here. I don't think I'm going to Assassin's Trophy a random land. I think it's too important to save that to fight over a Murktide or a Quarry Steelcutter or whatever. Brainstorm is fine. I also might be just like 1 Lightning Bolt away from Bolt to face right now. That is Murktide. I will Assassin's Trophy that. It maybe kills me in 1 turn. Delver is fine as well. Bobble is fine. Assassin's Trophy. The Murktide. Force of Will is here. So I could be dead in the air next turn. I think I do this on 2 mana and see if it finds me Endurance specifically. Trigger. It does find me Endurance specifically. So I think I go ahead and take that. This is a little scary. I can take it, clear my opponent's graveyard, flow state is off. Hopefully block this. I'll shut off Unholy Heat as a way to remove this. And then next turn I can return it. I think that's my plan. The awkward thing is that ticks Murktide to 9, but if my opponent can remove this, they're already killing me with the one. Excuse me, with the one from Delver. So I think I do clear the graveyard. Or no, maybe that's not true because I get the Overlord body. Yeah, I could choose to not exile any graveyard there. Again, though, flow state is a thing. When it looks at my next card and then does the Delver thing, then they can mess with the order on Bobble. So they know they're going to flip Delver to Lightning Bolt. That's a scary card. Bolt Endurance twice. Okay, Bolt and Unholy Heat. So then Murktide kills me. GG came up a little short there. As it turns out, if I would have just shoved the Deed No Fear, we probably win that one. Oh well. I still think it was correct to try to play that game in the way that I did. GG's. Alright. Opening hand is okay. It needs more mana. I don't necessarily think it's a mulligan or anything, but the cantrips that I have don't look for lands. Underground Sea. And Tamiyo. We can maybe answer Tamiyo with Pernicious Deed. We can certainly sweep all of the clues, but if Tamiyo transforms into the Planeswalker, Pernicious Deed existed before Planeswalkers did, so that's not a card type on here. So if I see a Brainstorm on the other side of the table, that's probably what I am most likely to take. Push, I don't super care about. I might take it just so my Barrowgoyf sticks, because I certainly don't care about Bowmasters. Cameo attacks and gets a clue, no big deal. Malevolent Rumble is great. That is a way to look at another land here. So we'll grab a basic to avoid the wasteland that we know about. And I will just take the land to guaranteed lock in Deed for next turn. Should something happen to this Eldrazi spawn token. Fetching again. Cracking the clue. So this is the turn that I have to dodge Tamiyo transforming. If it does, I can still try to attack Tamiyo, but I would prefer not to go that route. I think there is a decent line here to crack clue, hope to draw something that transforms Tamiyo, and then like ponder or brainstorm to avoid this deed. I think I want to preemptively fetch here. Kind of looks like I'm getting another basic swamp with black, 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 black here. So there's the deed. I think I'll pass turn and crack in upkeep. This is probably a good moment, actually. Ye old Pernicious Deed for 1 to answer Tamiyo because Tamiyo is so threatening. It's fine. Like, the remainder of the hand is very good, assuming that I live long enough to cast these cards. Undercity Sewer surveils as well. Another land comes down that's not Wasteland. I think I am fine just shoving the Barrowgoyf here. I would be perfectly happy to trade this for Force of Will. Oh, it just resolves. Great. Fatal Push is another card that's in my opponent's deck that could cleanly answer this. Bowmasters comes down. I'll take 1. No big deal. Bowmasters buys time versus Barrowgoyf. Let's see if there's another Surveil land. No. Push? Push is fine. Like, now we just go into the slow, grindy game of cast Overlords, return Barrowgoyfs, cast Barrowgoyfs. And I would not mind hitting a Veteran Explorer at some point. And if we get to Anikthea bringing back Deed and clearing Bowmaster and whatever else happens in the meantime is, like, perfectly reasonable. Yeah. Oh. Yes? Seems like I just do that. Yeah, seems like I just jam that. We passed the counter magic test earlier. I think the hope is that my opponent has some number of unusable cards that are going to get stuck there for a little while. Uro's going to have plenty of fuel, that's for sure. So I take 5 here. I am at 8. So this now becomes play Overlord, look for Veteran Explorer, I think. Don't think I am casting this spell this game. Okay. There's Veteran Explorer. I think I just play that. Then I have that block Nethergoyf for a turn. And if my opponent removes Veteran Explorer, I get 2 more lands, and I can then crack Deed for X equals 2 and wipe out a bunch of creatures. And this disincentivizes my opponent from doing Uro immediately. Alright, cool. Block. Go to 6, 1 and 2, and I do have a Witherbloom Charm that I can cast if I need a little more life. Alright, Uro is happening. I think overall I'm happy about. A little weird. Misty comes down. Rainstorm happens. Land comes down. Alright, cool. I think I get this Uro off of Deed as well. I think I get to get cute here. Actually, how many basics are in my deck? So 3, 6, 7 basics are in my deck. So I could get the last 2 with Veteran Explorer right now if I wanted. Uro just gets to come right back. I think I go 2 mana for this. Good enough to get a response. Hardcast Force. That's fine. I don't think I want to Thoughtseize. I think I just Deed for 3 now. Clear that. Don't play this land. Pass turn. And then I have to answer Uro again in some capacity. My answer might be gain 5 life to live through 1 hit. I can also play Anikthea and get a 3/3 Overlord that I can block with, or a 3/3 Deed that I can block with. This might be a scary enough turn that I Thoughtseize. Just really awkward, because if my opponent has Daze specifically, and I Thoughtseize, I then have to take the Daze, rather than just naturally play around it. What has a weird cost that my opponent could be playing? It's not Nethergoyf from Graveyard with that few cards in it. Oh, opponent's having some lag issues. That's all good. It's a Lorien Revealed. Yeah, I'll probably Thoughtseize now. Now I, like, very, very potentially care about Force of Will. Witherbloom Charms, again, remove things with 2 or less. I think we're on 2 mana Overlord, 3 mana Barrowgoyf, 1 mana Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize you. There is indeed Force of Will. There's also a Sheoldred's Edict. I'm always taking Force of Will. So, am I now playing Anikthea so that I have 2 bodies? I use one of them to block Uro and get Sheoldred's Edict out of hand. Alright. This is on an enters and attacks. Let's get a 3/3 Overlord token that can enter and get me Barrowgoyf back. So the unfortunate thing here is that my opponent has a flow state, and if they find another removal spell, they can edict one of these and then fully remove the other. And I might still die. So there is said flow state. Alright, there it is. Oh, sorry, that's another flow state. If we play a 3-game set, I don't think my opponent can finish in time with the lag that they are having. Like, they are down north of me, north of 5 minutes from me in a game 1 scenario. I think they are going to be hoping to win this in 2. Edict is gone. Okay, there was not another removal spell. I still have to just chump block with this token, and my opponent could draw a removal spell off of this trigger. Waiting to pay costs. Doesn't look good. Okay, it's just a brainstorm. Anikthea returning Overlord that can then return another creature is kind of cool. It's a neat loop. Block Uro. Opponent fetches. Is out of fetchables. Which fetch was that? Oh, that's straight up no blue fetchables. Okay. I will surveil. Wall Therapy can go to Yard. I think I just play Barrowgoyf. And if it doesn't resolve, I Witherbloom Charm to gain 5 life and make it through another turn. All I am trying to do is stall here. That's fine. I'm going to use this for a life mode anyway. And I think I will cast this now. Force of Negation is on right now, but Hardcast Force isn't, and there's still a blue card in my opponent's hand that I wouldn't like them not to resolve. Okay, so that was Destroy Wasteland, targeting Wasteland to Fatal Push. That could have just destroyed one of my cards there. The Bowmaster does mean that this will be lethal this turn. And my opponent gets this one, but they're down a lot of clock. And I do not expect this to be a fast match, to say the least. Alright, I like Endurance, and I will consider some number of Erodes. Opponent's going to try a restart, which is perfectly reasonable. I think I'm fine with turning Therapies into Erodes. Do I want Thoughtseize? Or are we just like going to play a long enough game that the answer is no? I think we're going to play a long enough game that the answer is no. This is not playable. I will mulligan that. And this is perfectly fine. This is a Witherbloom Charm to answer a Tamiyo. A Deed if my opponent goes wide. I throw the Alpha Deathclaw back into the deck. This is great. Well, that is a win by timeout. So, we are 2-1 on the scoreboard, although we lost that game there. So, take all that with a grain of salt. On to the next one. GG. Opponent says hello to YouTube friends. I'll keep my hand. We've got a turn 1 and a turn 2 play, and then hopefully we find something else cool to do from there. An actual factual Tundra. So what are we thinking on seeing Tundra? Some sort of Thalia Riddler control nonsense. There have been a couple of blue-white control lists that have done well in the last week or so. Could also be Cephalid Breakfast, I suppose. It's fucking miracles. Ooh, alright. Tamiyo? Probably just Tamiyo, because like Tamiyo backed by Spell Snare is really awkward right now. That's what you gotta do to be a Miracles player in 2026. You just shut up and play Tamiyo. Alright, and now I will play my 2-drop that dodges Spell Snare. I can pretend to kind of be Death and Taxes for a minute, I suppose. See if my opponent wants to force this. They may rationalize that their Spell Snare isn't doing a lot and just pitch it there, which does happen. In which case, that is now in the graveyard for Anikthea. And honestly, this is the slow, dirtily time where I might actually be able, to make this happen. I'd really like to find something reasonable to do with my turn. Oh, if you just play a Tamiyo, I can, like, Witherbloom Charm that. And that actually makes my turn way better, because now I don't need to spike a random card. I'm not going to be thinking too much about back to basics with my opponent's mana looking like this. But I guess I do need to play green. Get him. Alright, excellent. Opponent is going to cantrip. 2 of 4 Tamiyos are down. There's presumably going to be some other finishers in here. Seeing the red, I'm going to be thinking 4th Aerlingas. So it actually... Ooh, that's an aggressive brainstorm. I'd actually really like to hold a Pernicious Deed in play, because I can deed for 0 to answer the, what are they, Night tokens from 4th Aerlingas. And that actually sounds like big game. Another Lazotep Quarry. I mean, that means I get to do this into Overlord next turn. So I'll just hold up Assassin's Trophy this turn. Now, if this game goes real long into that, like, turn 11 bullshit, Lazotep Quarry on Anikthea is, like, very funny. Alright, that is a land drop from my opponent. I know one of their cards is a stinker. I don't know the others. I think I'm not playing around game 1 back to basics here. I'm gonna surveil. Cabal Therapy is weird. I think I'm just gonna send that to graveyard and maybe we get some value off of it at some point. Shove? I can shove the one that's better if my opponent Force of Wills, or I can shove the one that's better if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares. I think I'm gonna go for the one that's better if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares. So here we go. Because I just have not given my opponent removal targets at all. Not that I've given them that many Force of Will targets either, but I've already seen 1 Force. And there's presumably at least 4 Swords to Plowshares in there, if not also some, like, Erodes and shit. Alright. Anikthea gets back Overlord, which feels disgusting. Oh, Overlord misses. There's a deed in graveyard for if Anikthea makes it around the table. I don't think I'm interested in giving up one of these creatures to get Entreat out of my opponent's hand. Could get, like, Terminist. Oh, it's another Entreat. Or the same Entreat. Alright, so fetch, make 3 4/4s. My creatures have Menace. I can play another Anikthea. Get back Deed. It's kind of gross. Yeah, how do I feel about that? I think good. This is weird. The one... No, I'll just attack. Yeah, I'll just attack. I don't need to play the other one. So, triggers, Anikthea is gonna return Deed. Overlord will mill some more stuff. Overlord misses, just found another avatar. Get Pernicious Deed, which I think I will just blow for 0 and kill all of those tokens. This will also kill my Overlord token, though. No? Hold on, what is the wording here? Oh, I'm creating a token that is a copy of that card, so I am keeping its mana value, apparently. Sick. That interaction was more favorable for me than I was expecting. Now what? Do I even play another body? I don't think I play another body. I think I'm just good. My opponent has 2 cards. Yeah. I'm gonna make them deal with these. I don't want, like, Supreme Verdict to get even more value than it's already getting. So Anikthea trigger on the bottom, targeting Overlord. We Overlord once, get back Anikthea. Then Anikthea returns another Overlord, getting a Veteran Explorer. Oh, we're dirtling. Ooh, opponent's doing something. Mystic Sanctuary to get back Entreat. And then they're going to draw a card. I see. Okay. So they can make some angels. That's gonna resolve. I should probably Assassin's Trophy one of these now so they can't block both. That makes sense to me. 1 and 2. And you can have another basic, which I assume you have. Yeah. And then opponent can decide which one of these they like less. Menace. Alright, the answer is kill an Overlord. Ooh, or is it? Alright, it is. The opponent will take 4 here. Go to 5. Do I Veteran Explorer and sack it? Or do I just Cabal Therapy and try to hit? I think I'm going to Cabal Therapy. I think I get better use out of my mana right now than my opponent does. I will take a Forest and a Swamp. And then name like Wrath of the Skies, maybe. Like Wrath of the Skies and 4th Aerlingas are probably the things that I care about. Prismatic Ending. Sure. Give my opponent a Barrowgoyf then. Give them a Barrowgoyf. And if they try to exile it, I just have the other Lazotep Quarry to sacrifice it instead. Yep. Oh. I sack Barrowgoyf. I can bring it back next turn. We'll see if my opponent tries to do some chip damage, or if they're just going to leave all of these back. They are going to go for some chip damage, which is reasonable. Windswept Teeth is not what I am looking for right now. In fact, probably don't want to crack that. In we go. Anikthea has no legal targets here. Overlord can return a Barrowgoyf, that's fine. And then Anikthea trigger does nothing. Alright, I'm gonna kill an Angel here, that's great. And now we're probably just playing 2 Barrowgoyfs, leaving open the ability to sacrifice them and put them back in graveyard if need be. Surprising number of my creatures are hanging out in exile now. Running out of things to bring back with Overlords and Aniktheas. Alright, Force of Will on the 2nd Barrowgoyf. That's fine. Both of these have to chump block next turn unless my opponent draws a Terminus. Alright, Miracle indeed. So I will send this to graveyard so that I can bring it back later, I suppose. And then these clear. And I can play an Anikthea, but I don't have a target to remove. Oh no, I do have another Overlord in there. Okay, that's fine. Ball Therapy not doing work right now. Tap 1 Lazotep Quarry. Overlord. Trigger. Get a Barrowgoyf. With another Anikthea in hand, I think I can play one more creature. I'll fetch though so I can leave open the quarry. I will not leave open the quarry. Alright, fine. Have it your way. We are kind of reaching that stage of the game. This is ridiculous. Ice Phoenix, this is what you wanted. It is here. Anikthea, providing inevitability. Jace won't do it. Jace needs to hit like a Supreme Verdict. Wrath of the Skies won't do. Combat? Brainstorm into Miracle Terminus? Base. Anikthea brings back a Pernicious Deed. Overlord returns a Barrowgoyf. 11 cards left in library, by the way. Any one of these is lethal. That needs to be Brain Surge into Terminus. It is. With how low my deck is getting, I think I'm going to let these cards go into deck. We are kind of reaching the point where I actually might care about the order, I suppose. What do you have? I'm gonna like just name something generic here. All right, they have a Ponder. I think I'm going to. Oh, this would be more than I have, surprisingly. Yeah, there's multiple different lines I want to do here that don't quite work because I don't have enough mana. Wild. I think despite my low deck count here, I do this to take this Ponder. I'll take the Deed. Then Cabal Therapy, target you, sack this, name the known Ponder, and then I think I'm going to go with the 5 mana card here that produces 2 bodies at once, and grab a Deed, or if there's Angels. Ooh, 9 cards in library. Jace is active. Jace can bounce this token out of existence. But then Anikthea is lethal? Hell yeah. Opponent to 1. Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah, okay, they can hardcast a Terminus here. Seems reasonable. I was not expecting the second Mystic Sanctuary. The first one was a given. Alright. Anikthea to bottom. I'm going to play a Barrowgoyf, and then I am going to get back 1/2, 1/2. Just a Veteran Explorer. Veteran Explorer is lethal. Sacrifice the tapped one, and I am again putting my opponent into a situation where Jace bounce is not enough. Rainstorm. My kingdom for an Orcish Bowmasters. The dam breaks open if my opponent does something like a flow state. What has a funky cost? Entreat? Just regular cast Entreat. Wrath of the Skies. Opponent leaving open plenty of mana. I don't think I have any, right? I do have an Alpha Deathclaw. Now opponent gets to Brainstorm. Lorien revealed. Oof. So this is going to be the same line as last time, where I throw down a Barrowgoyf and then make a copy of a Veteran Explorer, which will be lethal. Alright. It feels like I am now on the wrong side of this. Opponent tunes the narrative, which, in case you're not super familiar with that one, because it doesn't see a lot of play, that's just gain 2 energy. Yikes. In post-sideboard games, endurance myself as to not mill out might be a somewhat real thing. This is a neat game of Magic. Land drop happens after that Swords. Another flow state. Cameo comes down. Ate that. And then my token gets bounced. Yep, this is overall pretty darn bad. So now this is not live. I can deed away this Tameo, I guess. But Tameo doesn't answer Jace. I'm now waiting to draw Alpha Deathclaw and kill Jace with it. Anything that can bait a Force of Will before that is very actively good. The issue here is now that Tameo can attack, and then my opponent can Jace Brainstorm, flip Tameo, Tameo plus. Alright, so my opponent did not put that on bottom, so it'll probably be worth 1 life for me to just shuffle my library. There's like some levels of bluffing here, but I don't think you leave an Alpha Deathclaw on top if you see it, in the hopes that I shuffle it. That's weird. That's weird. I don't think I can cast that. Opponent draws a card. I'm just going to F6 through their turn, I think. I can't F6 through their turn because I need to draw that Alpha Deathclaw. I'll just shuffle now and then F6 the remainder of their turn. You get your clue. Fuck. Alright. Crack the clue. And Jace Fate Seals again. Jace Ultimates at 12. Fetch and clear. I'm now realizing that I think they changed the interface on how Jace the Mind Sculptor's thing works. I think I might not have needed to use the fetch land at another point. Alright, so this is kind of the game here. Does this spell resolve? If my opponent can Force of Will this, I don't think I can win. And they can Force of Will it. Rough. So I think my opponent now just outright beats me. And I think I am going to F6 through the remainder of these turns here. Like, with Active Teferi and Jace, even putting 2 bodies in play isn't enough. There's a Barrowgoyf, which I imagine, yeah, eats an untimely fate. I think we are now in the miserable Magic Online experience of I play this out to grind another minute off of my opponent's clock and hope to win via timeout in game 2. Yeah, not even attacking with Tameo anymore. So there's the Jace thingy. And then I get 2 cards as my deck. Note that I'm not even bothering to cast the Anikthea into the onboard Teferi and Tameo blocker with my opponent's 8 cards where they are actively discarding. Ooh, hell of a game. GG. So erode matters. Like, answering the Planeswalkers is a thing, and endurance is fine for flow state purposes. Deed's weird. It doesn't do anything versus my opponent's Planeswalkers, but it matters a lot for tokens from 4th Aerlingas and whatnot, so I think I probably keep these. It might be that I am getting rid of Cabal Therapy Veteran Explorer, and I just expect the game to go on long enough that I cast my stuff. Veteran Explorer is not great versus exile-based removal anyway. The math on Overlord doesn't look great with this few creatures, though. It might be that I keep a couple of Veteran Explorers. I could play the game without Thoughtseizes and just straight up answer the Planeswalkers with Trophy Erode or attacking them, rather than trying to take them from hand. And Veteran Explorer sometimes gets land when it eats a Wrath of the Skies or a Deed. I think I'm just going to do without and just deal with the fact that this feels a little awkward. Yeah, this is fine. I will drop a land and pass. I'm going to wait and see if my opponent plays a Tamiyo before I surveil. Alright, they don't. I'm just going to surveil now. I think it is very likely that this ends up becoming a game of literal seconds. I will say no to that land. Opponent shuffles. I'll grab a scrub. No, I'll grab a Savannah. And rumble here. I'm getting a land. Witherbloom Charm is noticeably worse without the Veteran Explorers in the deck here. Land drop, opponent passes. I think I'm going to opt for Endurance here, which is why I got Savannah, so I can do green, green. There's not an instant in my opponent's graveyard yet. I might just wait a second and do this at end step and see how this plays out. I'll clear sorcery out of the graveyard at the very least, and then try to attack for a couple of points of damage with this Endurance. Anikthea doesn't have fuel yet. Opponent to 16. It's a little weird. I think I'm supposed to Barrowgoyf with Witherbloom Charm available. Yeah. And then pass. And then Witherbloom Charm is kind of like a counterspell if you look at it funny. Need black. Targeting Goyf. We charm. Sack the Goyf. And then if I can find basic swamp at some point, which wasn't an option there, but if I do, I can then have Assassin's Trophy for if my opponent, for some reason, is playing back to basics versus what is largely a Nic Fit deck. Combat. Send in for 3. Opponent to 12. I think I am down to rumble. Oof. Take the basic there. I guess I will play out another creature. Did I hit a therapy? I did not hit a therapy. I don't love playing more than one body into my opponent's mass sweepers, but like they just also have a ton of single target removal, so I think you just kind of got to play cards. Opponent passes right back. I want an Overlord so badly so that Anikthea is actively good. Opponent to 9. Same logic. I will keep casting cards. That is a Force of Will. That is acceptable. Cameo is fine. I think I'm going to use my Assassin's Trophy on it. If my opponent brainstorms, I can try to attack via Endurance. Cool. Alright, another Endurance. Reasonable. Not seeing an enchantment this game yet. I think I'm just going to pass the turn with another Endurance available. Opponent can ponder. I have an Endurance I can cast if they put a flow state on the stack. It's a little weird whether or not I actually cast this Endurance because my opponent could have put something on top that they want to draw, like a Terminus. I think I'm not going to cast this. Deed's okay. Oh fuck, I should have played that pre-combat. Got away with it. So 1 black, 1 ass. Brain Surge. Okay, I mean, a card could now be further down again. Okay, there's a Terminus. Yes. I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to Endurance immediately because of, like, fetch land. Fetch land into Mystic Sanctuary, potentially saving the Terminus. That is a hardcast Force of Will. Sure. Another Endurance. I might just want a sorcery speed. Use resources here. Target an Endurance. Just do this in a way where a counterspell doesn't get involved. Clear out the graveyard before a fetch land can be used. Oh, do you have, like, Surgical? Alright, clear that. No Surgical. So the good news is that I have this Deed, right? So you get to entreat. I made flow state worse by clearing the graveyard proactively with Endurance. Land comes down. I blow Deed for 0 to get rid of these. My Endurance now gets to attack in and hopefully kill my opponent. Alright, fantastic. GG. Opponent has 3 minutes left on clock. I've got about 6. No changes. Whatever is about to happen is likely not to be a very good game of Magic. We both have to play very, very quickly here. I will keep my opponent quickly mulligans. Plays a Valk and a Tamiyo. Seems good. I know that I would like to find an answer to that Tamiyo. There's a Mortuary. Anikthea can go to Graveyard. Pass. Opponent can get their clue with Tamiyo. And I'm hoping to, like, ambush a Tamiyo mid-combat via Endurance. That doesn't get to happen anymore. So now I will be looking for one of my Erode, Witherbloom Charm type cards. Alright. Now, Assassin Trophy is fantastic. Get in there. Alright, opponent's gonna try to probably Brainstorm. Tundra. Oh, no. They are probably just fetching to save clock then, which is reasonable. There's Cracking the Clue. Island comes down. A new Tamiyo comes down. I will attempt to ambush that via Endurance here. Land drop. Here's Endurance. Nuke your graveyard. Do you have spot removal, or can you draw it? You do have spot removal. Seems good. Oh, it's just going to crack that clue immediately. They want to transform this Tamiyo. They've got 2 minutes to work with here, and it's not super easy to win a game with Tamiyo that quickly. I think I'm going to hold up Endurance in case my opponent Tamiyo minuses. Land drop comes down. Tamiyo pluses. Attempt end of turn Endurance. Surgical on Assassin's Trophy. Just trying to eliminate outs to Tamiyo and then sculpt a plan for whatever else needs to happen here. Send that back into the deck. Go to combat. Attack Tamiyo. We're just going to always yield to these triggers so they don't cost me more time. All right, wonderful. I will rumble. Get Overlord. Shove a Barrowgoyf. And then opponent can fetch and surveil. They know to Scalding Tarn. They want to find a removal spell and go remove, Tamiyo minus remove. Like, that's the sort of plan my opponent needs. Wrath of the Skies is great. So Tamiyo goes to 6. And then my opponent has a creature Tamiyo. Yeah. There's Overlord. I'll get back Anikthea because she represents multiple bodies, I think. Tamiyo to 8. Opponent's got about 40 seconds left on clock. Every spell they cast is a very, very big deal here. I want to Pernicious Deed Tamiyo and attack this other Tamiyo. That's my plan. So here's this. Do this for 1 to kill Tamiyo. Go to combat. Send here. Oh, shit, I clicked through returning a creature there. I don't think it matters with 20 seconds left. Like, I think that's the time point where my opponent can't really win anymore. But missing that return matters a lot. That was a hell of a grind. Anikthea did some things in a prolonged match like this versus blue-white control that were very, very interesting. But damn, it felt like we were working really, really hard to win. No matter what, we are now positive in this league, but there's a little bit of an asterisk there since one of our opponents disconnected while we were losing against them. So, GG's. Let's see what happens in this final round. All right, final round, no land, easy mulligan. Second hand is weird, but probably keepable. Deed keep 2.5 removal spells where Witherbloom Charm probably needs to be used to sacrifice Veteran Explorer. A little weird. In getting rid of Deed, I get rid of my best mana sink? Mox Diamond. Are we playing against lands? We are. Urza's Saga. Malevolent Rumble. Please don't find Loam. Okay, it's no Loam. Tabernacle Veteran Explorer combo? My opponent takes the Urza's Saga. All right. Well, here we are. It's Ghost Quarter in the graveyard, not Wasteland. So I guess I buy you? Question mark? Play versus draw was huge here. If I am on the play and get to junk this Urza's Saga, under a lot less pressure. All right, new Urza's Saga comes down. Alpha Deathclaw. So the question is now, Do I Witherbloom Charm sack Veteran Explorer immediately? It probably gives my opponent a land. It maybe gives them 2. I think I need this mana desperately. I will try to sneak a point of combat damage, though. All right, I succeed. 19. Green and black. Oh my god. Well, those Urza Sagas aren't problems anymore. I will now go green and black so that I can cast these spells. Do you get lands? Okay, they do get 2. So the next question becomes, which Urza Saga am I answering? I think the one with 2, so that my opponent can't search, and then I just I Pernicious Deed the Urza Saga and the tokens at once next turn. We dodged crop rotation, which is cool. And then I will end up getting rid of Construct token, maybe second Construct token, Spawn, and a Diamond, as well as the Urza Saga itself with this deed. This is going to be a very, very good Pernicious Deed. It probably becomes better if I draw another land and can go Deed, then Veteran Explorer. Oh god, Life from the Loam is here. Woo! That seems pretty good. My opponent will make the Construct token. I'll take some damage. Okay, I did draw another land. I think I'm fine with this being a basic. Get the plains. Do a deed. Do a Veteran Explorer. Deed for 1, which kills all this stuff as well as my Veteran Explorer. Opponent says that was brutal. Yep. No, it's kind of gross. And now, this is a destroy target permanent. It is not a destroy target non-land permanent. And my opponent's problem here is that they don't have a way to make additional land drops right now. So I can just do this, blow up that Urza Saga, and threaten to sinkhole them again. I've sent my opponent, this feels gross. They might need to not dredge Life from the Loam in order to try and hit a way to make extra land drops. All right. So, Saga. Yeah, that's fine. How much is this? So this will be a 2-turn clock. Yeah. So do this. This says Menace? Yeah. I'll just blow up a forest then. Opponent to 9. And I assume no dredge. Yeah. That was a cool game. GG. Endurance is reasonable. Force of Vigor is reasonable. My discard's not great. My opponent's Tabernacle is my way that I sacrifice Veteran Explorers, which is kind of funny. Notably, playing Erode is very actively bad as opposed to Swords to Plowshares here because it does not answer Merit Lage. So as of right now, that is what I'm doing. Anikthea recurring Deed is super reasonable if my opponent's primary way to beat me is going to be Urza Saga. I'm thinking about how much I want Thoughtseize versus just Endurance. I think, is it one Thoughtseize or is it one Cabal Therapy to sack Veteran Explorers? I know that I want a name crop rotation most of the time anyway. Thoughtseize is way better in the opener though, in case I am wrong at guessing. Sure. This doesn't just lose if my opponent does Sphere stuff, and this is fine versus Urza Saga stuff. I'm okay versus Recursive Wasteland. Hey, it's Wasteland. Mox Diamond. Caracas. Oh no. I had not really thought about how bad Caracas was for Anikthea. Forest is fine. So now I guess we hope my opponent goes down the Urza Saga route that I'm better at beating. No dredge. Opponent might want extra land drops, or they might have plenty of lands already. Ancient Tomb. Pass. Sure. I'm gonna rumble. I'll do it post-combat, though. 19. And this is making Barrowgoyf bigger more so than anything else. Ooh. Endurance? I'll take Endurance. I could I could pitch cast Endurance here. It gets rid of Deed, though. And my opponent didn't want to do this last turn. I think I'm just going to let them draw it. Yeah, and they don't. Yavimaya comes down. Opponent passes. I can Deed for 0 and kill a Mox Diamond. I don't know that that's amazing. In for 1 again. Opponent to 18. I think I am holding open Assassin's Trophy for combo stuff. And if my opponent doesn't do combo stuff, I end of turn fetch Basic Forest and play Endurance with the intention of attacking with it. So let's do that. Basic Forest, Endurance, get rid of the Loam. And there starts to become some things where I might not want to attack with the Endurance. I think with Assassin's Trophy available, I'm good. I'll send in for 4, drop yet another basic, and I think this is where I cash in my Eldrazi spawn so that I leave open Assassin's Trophy, and I'll pass. Malevolent Rumble. Looks at a way to play lands from graveyard. Seems reasonable. If my opponent grabs Saga, I will probably just Deed for 0 and clear Saga and Mox Diamond. All right, there's Walk-In Closet. We'll see if my opponent, my opponent doesn't need to use life there, but they could. So there it is. Urza's Saga comes down, and Drop of Honey comes down. That's something I can clear with Deed. So as of right now, my opponent is destroying their own Eldrazi spawn. They could make me destroy my Veteran Explorer, which is fine. In which case I get to connect with Barrowgoyf. If Veteran Explorer dies, I have enough to Deed for 3. I don't know that I want to Deed for 3. I think I want to keep this stuff. So I think I am going to Assassin's Trophy Walk-In Closet, which makes me worse versus the combo aspects of my opponent's deck, and also turns on crop rotation for this turn cycle. Thoughtseize first seems fine. In case we are looking at some crop rotation nonsense, I'll force the issue immediately. Negative. 3 lands. So that's what we're working with. Deed for 1, kill Drop of Honey. Seems fine. I'll just do this now because it will clear the token. Oh, we have gotten the full-on no in chat. Indeed. 1, I don't think the other one matters all that much. 2, I think my opponent has 1 more forest. Maybe I should have gotten green with my other one there in case I hit Veteran Explorer off of Barrowgoyf. I was thinking about hardcast Overlord into another black creature. All right, Barrowgoyf chonks in. Say yes. Yeah, there's Veteran Explorer. Exactly the line that I talked about. I think that was a misplay on my end. An opponent says they love Deed, even though it killed them twice. Deed is just fun. They played that Ancient Tomb. I will go to Punchies. In we go. This can be a crop rotation for a Maze of Ith to keep my opponent alive. In which case, if I played the Veteran Explorer last turn, I get 1 more point of damage here. Oh, now everything taps for mana, right? Yavimaya. And Mortuary. I do not need more land at this point. And then my opponent needs something just crazy here. There's the GGs. So scoreboard says that this is a 4-1 league with Anikthea Perncious Deed Control. But keep in mind that one of our opponents disconnected here. So it's a 3-1 where we got a freebie. So judge that as you will. GGs. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. For what I was asked to do, I think this is about the best result that we could possibly ask for. If we count this one as a 4-1, and there would be a big asterisk by that, but if we count this as a 4-1, that is a wild success, and even at a 3-2, I'm pretty happy with the performance of this deck. Against the faster decks of the format, Anikthea is just glacially slow. When you play against things like Blue-White or Jeskai Miracles, where the game is glacial, being able to recur Overlord of the Balemurk and then have Overlord of the Balemurk grab you like a Barrowgoyf or something is kind of a big deal. But one thing that I was noticing in playing this league is that your creature count is a little low for Barrowgoyf, and your enchantment count is a little low for Anikthea. And trying to balance those things while also doing some amount of self-mill, while also making sure that you have enough interaction for the decks of Legacy, this deck is working hard. There's a really cool late game engine here of Anikthea returning Deed wiping things out, and there's a very small wording difference here. So with Anikthea, you are making a token that's a copy of that card, which is why the token didn't die for Deed equals 0, I think. Whereas this is making a token that is a copy of the card, not that is making a copy of it versus a copy of the card. So there's some token rule nonsense going around that makes the Pernicious Deed stuff even better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't use Deafening Silence today. We didn't pair against all that much combo, which honestly is probably why we have a positive record in this league. But I'm pretty happy with the options here. I didn't just sideboard out Anikthea every time, which sometimes happens when you're trying to build around something cute. I actually boarded out my discard, which was very much targeted at combo. But then once you do that, sacrificing the Veteran Explorers get harder. It's not perfect deck building, but I'm happy with the result. I don't think you should play Anikthea in Legacy, and if you do, it should probably be a singleton Green Sun target in a Nic Fit deck, rather than a card that you brew around, but sometimes you just gotta try the fun stuff. Sometimes you have to try to bring a little joy to people by playing Legacy, and Pernicious Deed loops bring joy to my cold, dead heart, and I hope they brought you joy as well. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. I hope you enjoyed. If you have something you want to see on the channel, as always, the dealer's choice, and honestly all the donation decklist information is available in the video description. Have a great day, folks. See ya!